Well, good morning. This is Ian R. Crane, and it's the morning of Monday, the 25th of March 2019. And as you can see, it's an absolutely glorious edge of the East Lancashire moors and a beautiful view of Pendle Hill behind me. And almost looks like you can walk there in a few minutes. A bit further than that, though. Anyway, it's a bit fresh, though. It's about 5 degrees at the moment, but it looks like it's going to be an absolutely stunning day. A beautiful day to get out and enjoy this stunning countryside. Well, the title of this morning's broadcast is From Chaos to Civil Disobedience, because the British parliamentarians are literally drowning in their own egos and have no real desire, of course, to bring about a satisfactory end to this ensuing chaos. They've had, 2.5 years now to prepare for Brexit, which, of course, should be enacted this coming Friday, but the degree of deceit and obfuscation, and in some cases outright lies, is an abject lesson in why it is that politics in the UK, of politicians literally being at an all-time low. And one parliamentarian who spoke to me on the basis, of course, of remaining nameless, said they were embarrassed to be part of this circus, and in reality so few of their colleagues had the interests or the will of the electorate at the heart of their agenda. And he said most are simply biding time until they get out of politics and get offered the jobs by the corporations, where they can earn significant chunks of money for just a few days' work a year. Well, that pretty much sums it up. And, I'm pleased to state that, Murray Limited, because there's nothing really to be gained. What is to be gained is by obviously speaking to the wider population, because politicians rely upon abject apathy. They rely upon people basically not either giving a damn about what's going on at Westminster, or of course just not having the time because they're chasing their tail, just trying to get the basics together to survive. Such is life in 21st century Britain. So different from what was being predicted by the likes of Tomorrow's World back in the 60s and 70s, where it was forecast that we'd have free energy, we'd only have to work 4 hours a day, and we'd be able to enjoy the rest as family leisure time. Well, of course, just pretty much everything I've said there hasn't come about. Your facilities, particularly local parks and pubs, are disappearing at a phenomenal rate of knots. And why is this happening? Well, one, of course, because we have whatever the collective noun is, a prick of 650 odd MPs who are only interested in self-gratification and serving, their own interests, and of course getting as much on expenses as they possibly can so they can bank their salary, and whilst obviously ignoring the strife that is occurring in the rest of the country, and the BS that's pumped out in the media, like this country has the highest level of employment that it's had. Well, that's if you class being on a 0 hours contract and on minimum wage, and not even having any of those hours guaranteed a week. If you class that as employment, well, maybe, but that's not employment. This is little more than slavery. And so, here we are, 21st century Britain, and basically, apart from a small percentage of people, the rest, if they're genuinely honest, will acknowledge that, basically they live on the edge. so many people are just 3 salary checks away from having the first threatening letter through the door that they are at risk of being evicted for non-payment of their death grip, their mortgage, their death grip. You know, very few people in this country are actually living life in any kind of luxury, and those that do so with absolutely lost our moral compass in this country ever since the Reagan-Thatcher years, and the motto of those years, of course, was greed is good. Well, it may be good in the short term for a few people, but the rest of the country pays the price. So, you know, over the weekend, Theresa May has been desperately trying to salvage something of her deal, which of course hasn't changed really since she first floated it some many weeks ago now. But you know, it's reported that 1 million people marched in London over the weekend in an attempt to get Article 50 repealed. You know, what is it with these people? We've had a democratic vote. It was very, very clear. And, you know, it's very sad. Of course, this is unfortunately the, you know, division that's being created in the country. But, you know, hopefully, once Brexit does actually manifest and, you know, we start to get the country back on track and, you know, remove those politicians who are clearly not looking after the interests of the country and of the wider population, remove them from office. And, you know, let's make sure, or try and ensure, that the people that we do put in office, we hold to account. The political system is certainly not the best that there could be, but it's what we have right now. And sadly, those who abdicate from the opportunity to vote, then the Tories thank them very much, because they know very, very well that the vast majority of people who don't vote, even if they did vote, would definitely not be voting Tory. So a no vote is effectively a vote for the Tories. Now, I'm guessing that somebody's a little bit nervous about what might occur if Brexit isn't delivered on Friday, on the 29th, because on the 30th, the British government has announced that there will be a major military exercise involving 10,000 troops from 13 countries, 35 warships, 5 submarines, 59 aircraft. And the government's paperboy, Gavin Williamson, of course, who only comes into the office after he's completed his morning paper round, he has said that the UK military is a partner of choice for its international allies and a resolute force for peace around the world. Now, you know, this is a statement that basically underlines the magnitude of the lies and the deceit and the self-delusion that politicians in this country, and particularly, you know, intellectual pygmies like Gavin Williamson, who's barely out of short trousers and has proven time and time again that he's unfit to hold any kind of public office, let alone, you know, that of, you know, Minister for Armed Forces or whatever his pathetic title is. Anyway, you know, for him to say that the UK is a resolute force for peace around the world is unbelievable, because how far do we have to go back? Not that far to look at how the UK has contributed very significantly to the massive destabilization in the Middle East, and subsequently, of course, in Northern Europe, with the resultant migration. But if we look at how the UK has effectively destroyed Libya, done its level best to destroy Syria, and its special forces now working with Saudi Arabia to literally devastate another nation, i.e. Yemen. And it's not the first time that the British have made a foray into Yemen, because I know from first-hand experience that British forces were in Yemen, in northern Yemen, back in the 1970s, when they were fighting the Houthis. How do I know that? because at the time I was working with a company called Redifon Telecoms, and one particular product which was built at the Redifon factory in Wandsworth in South London, the Manpack 345. This was a military communications device that was being tested by British Special Forces in operating in North Yemen back at that time. So, you know, the British administration, you know, there's certain elements that don't seem to realise that the days of the British Empire are over. But of course, it's a different empire today. It's a corporatist empire. And everything that occurs at the will of the global corporatists. And, you know, as I said, and I take my lead from George Carlin here, you know, these parasites are in clubs and we ain't in those clubs. You know, whether it's Skull and Bones, Scroll and Keys, whether it's part of the Bilderberg community, you know, or whether it's Freemasonry. These people are in some way, shape or form beholden to a hierarchy that most people are not aware of. And they will, and those oaths are not in the best interests of the British people. So the good news is that more and more people are becoming aware of what's occurring. And I think that, you know, as the next week days, and the bottom line is if Brexit is not delivered, then I think I can safely predict that there will be levels of civil disobedience that perhaps are only currently being witnessed in France right now. And talking of France, of course, Macron has the audacity to preach about British politics and the way the British population are responding to the Brexit drama. And of course, he believes everyone should just keel over and accept that we're part of the European Union, and that basically national sovereignty is a thing of the past. And yet, look at what's going on in his country. He has totally lost control. And now he has instructed the French military to fire live rounds upon the protesters in the event that they feel that their lives are being threatened. Well, you know, how far away are we from that in the UK? 10,000 foreign troops on British soil at the weekend? How convenient is that if the civil disobedience reaches levels beyond which the police believe they can handle? Well, there's going to be a lot of discussion obviously going on this week on other things as well. And sadly, on Friday, David Noakes was not released from jail. Now, David's lawyer has stated that, you know, it's now down to prison administration. And, you know, once they get their act together, then there shouldn't be any reasons for any further delay in his release. And, you know, it's expected now that he may well be released just in time to Social Club, which is 699 Ulster Road South. Postcode is B14 5EY. I will put a link under this video. I'm sorry that it does appear to be buffering quite a lot on YouTube, but if there is a problem with that, I'll re-upload later. Then on Wednesday night, still hoping that we can have an event in Newcastle, but I will not be announcing the venue of that until Wednesday morning. So if you can get up to Newcastle, if you're in the northeast area, come along to Newcastle to support Mark Steele in court on Thursday, which is his opportunity with proper legal representation this time are now obfuscating when they receive freedom of information requests to review health impacts of this will be horrendous. So all to play for. Never say give up. We have to keep trying to raise awareness, keep trying to stimulate curiosity, and get people to get involved in public life. Because if we don't, then sadly the prognosis and the legacy that we leave future generations really doesn't bear thinking about. So thanks for joining me today, and if you can join me tomorrow evening in Birmingham at the E57 Social Club, I shall look forward to seeing you there, and I'm sure we shall have a very lively discussion tomorrow evening. You take care. You have a great day.